You know, a lot has already been covered. Can I just echo the confidence that I have that we have landed something that is very fit for purpose and should give New Zealanders much comfort. Thank you.
The next call is a split call. Barry Coates, 5 minutes.
Tēnā koe, Mr Speaker.
Tēnā koe.
I'm pleased to rise to speak to this crucially important bill, the Intelligence and Security Bill, for its second reading. I've also been pleased to have participated in some of the discussions on the committee, and I add my thanks to the former chair of the committee and committee members. From my perspective, terrorism and extremism is a threat to citizens around the world, and security agencies do have an important role in averting these threats. But we also need to remember that terrorists succeed if our human rights are trampled in the process of surveillance. We lose the strength of our democracy and our freedom, and that's what we've seen happening too often in the past. We've seen spying on New Zealand citizens, on anti-Springbok protesters, the attempt to prevent asylum by Ahmed Zawi. We've seen raids on the Tuhoi people. We've seen the .com arrest and spying on Nikki Hager. And some of these cases are very recent. We've also seen mass interception of communications data. We've seen New Zealand spying on our allies, including our Pacific Island neighbours. We've seen weak oversight by Parliament over these activities, and we've seen New Zealand collaborating closely in the Five Eyes network, and the latest WikiLeaks revelations show that these surveillance threats are more pervasive than ever. This is only going to get worse under Donald Trump. So we as a society have participated in interventions in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria and other Middle Eastern countries that, far from extinguishing the threat of terrorism, have exacerbated that threat. And we've created breeding grounds for extremism. I pay tribute to my colleagues, to Keith Locke, to Russell Norman, and many others, for raising these issues consistently over many years. The Green Party has been a watchdog on these issues within Parliament and beyond. And these issues came to such a crisis point that they precipitated the independent review known as the Cullen Reddy Review of our intelligence services. So this background says that we have had a major problem. We continue to have a major problem, and therefore we need extremely strong controls over our security and intelligence services. I agree with my colleague Dr. Kennedy Graham that there are some positive elements to this bill, and I'd highlight the additional powers that have been granted to the Inspector General, stronger parliamentary accountability, and controls over the purpose and approval process for warrants. These are important steps forward. But during the process, we've also heard deep concerns from across New Zealand society about these issues. We've heard concerns from Internet New Zealand and other organisations associated with the Internet. We've seen Spark and Vodafone expressing concern, the Privacy Commissioner, the Human Rights Commissioner, and the Law Society. And there are many, many more who have expressed concerns that we get this balance right. So the balance that we need to strike is between the necessary surveillance and the protection of our rights. We see a problem. There is not enough protection of New Zealand citizens from spying. Under this bill, the GCSB will be permitted to spy on New Zealanders. It provides the powers to target whistleblowers rather than protecting them. This bill strengthens oversight, but the Intelligence and Security Committee lacks important powers still. And as Grant Robertson said, its membership is too narrow. The 7 harms that are outlined in this bill include threats to New Zealand's interests and threats that adversely affect the operations of the government. These purposes, this rationale for surveillance is far too broad. I would conclude by saying that terrorists win when our human rights, our privacy and our freedoms as citizens are lost. While recognising there has been progress, this bill does not sufficiently protect our human rights, our privacy and our freedoms.
Member's time has expired. I call the Honourable Enoch King. 5 minutes.